Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Today I want to talk about Deion Sanders and his current health crisis. Last week it broke that Sanders, who's previously he had to have some parts of his foot taken off, he may be facing more amputations, and this time it could possibly include his whole foot. I'm greatly disappointed in that, and for several reasons. First of all, I never read anything about this guy having anything related to diabetes, so it might be some deeper issue. Secondly, I'm looking at the way things have gone the last several months with the way he's handling the transfer portal and the backlash he's getting, and people examining his roster, licking their chops pretty much, waiting to take it to the Buffaloes. Well, I had a different take on that. I think what he's doing, even though it's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, he's actually on the right track. Because if you get rid of all this dead weight, and what you're left with, if they don't perform, you're going to come back and do the same thing for the 24 season. So eventually, if he keeps doing that, he's going to come up with a really good team. So he's getting a lot of backlash, and I want to see how that all plays out. But now that he's gotten sick again, it leads me to think, well, if I never heard anything about him having diabetes, this must have something to do with being a professional athlete. You know, I was in a college locker room for a period of time, and I saw the stress and strenuous activities that the players had to go through there, and the ones who got injured, what it took for them to get back on the field. You know, we never really knew what kind of toll that took on the body. But if I think about what happened in the 90s when, I had this master sergeant I was working under, he came out and told me that athletes don't live long. I had never thought about that. What do you mean athletes don't live long? Why? So he said, nobody really knows, but they don't live long. So sure enough, I started paying attention, and athletes tend to die at a young age. And this was before the CTE craze, when guys started committing suicide, shooting themselves. Andre Waters and the Mike Websters of the world, people like that, they shortening their lives because they didn't want to deal with their issues anymore. Well, I even had a guy from my hometown. He died young. We had another guy that he transferred to my hometown. He passed early, and he played in a couple Super Bowls with the Vikings. So when you look at Sanders, maybe his current situation has to do with being a pro athlete. I've seen him hurt a few times, but I don't recall him missing no whole seasons or half a season. One time he got hurt in that playoff game against Carolina when he was in Dallas. One of the last 2 or 3 plays of the game, he got out, and I never knew what happened there. But you don't know what kind of shots or pills these things are taking, and certainly we have no idea what toll these treatments have on the body. So I'm hoping that he'll get beyond this. But I'm thinking now that we didn't know how long he was going to stay at Colorado, but now these new injuries make it finite amount of time how long he's going to stay. I always said before that, everybody's making all these theories about why he left Jackson State. I think he was only coaching to get his sons out there, to make sure his sons were taken care of. And now that he's facing this situation, I don't see him hobbling around or on that cart, scooting around the field for more time than it takes for his sons to get through the program. So expect Deion to be out of there once his son's eligibility is gone. Now, speaking of a high price to pay, Morant. Suspensions came down from the league last week. He's been suspended for the first 25 games of the season, and he's going to pay a hefty fine. Now get this, those 25 games are for forfeiture of pay. He's not going to get paid those games, which is only natural. But here's this. The numbers don't add up. As you recall, he signed a 5-year contract close to $200 million, which if you do the numbers, that's about a $40 million salary per year. Well, his fines are about $48 million. That is much, much more than what the 25 games would have paid him. So he's paying a great price to be suspended. Now, the sad thing about it is, news is coming out now that he's playing with toy guns. Even worse. If you pull a toy gun out on somebody on the street, they don't know if it's real or fake. So it might as well be real. Again, this guy here, he has enough money to go get a security detail to surround him and not just flunkies surround him and do professional service for this guy, and he wouldn't be losing all this money. And then I see a picture on the internet. He's got a fake gun lighting birthday cakes. Come on, man. That's even worse. Let the situation go. Go on the ground. Get your stuff together. Go get your security detail. And let all this stuff blow away. Will it blow away? Yes. You know about all the situation with Kobe Bryant and other athletes who lost their sponsorships and endorsements. Eventually, they got it all back because they went back to work and they did the things that got them those endorsements in the first place. I think the same thing is going to happen here with Morant. Nike has already stood behind him, and he's not going to lose anything there. And I think the reason for that, they just released a new shoe. So why release a new shoe just to throw it into the tanker? So expect Morant to bounce back, but he's got to do it real quick. He doesn't have any more mistakes that he could make. Because one more incident like this, and he's probably going to be bounced out of the league. And just a side note from that, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't see anything he's done wrong. What's wrong with him carrying a gun? Well, image is everything. You are blackening the league's image by running around carrying guns. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. You're making much more money than is necessary that you have to do such a thing. So he's being punished for image. And any other player is going to face the same kind of punishment if they do the things that this guy is doing. So hopefully Morant can get it together, and hopefully Deion can get his health back together, because everybody's interested to see just how well he can turn this Buffaloes program around. And with the season starting, the first 2 games, he's going to start out with TCU and Nebraska. He don't have time. So keep your eyes open. Sports for real.